Hi, performers and achievers. Welcome to Performers and Achievers Daily with me, Raj Gavurla. In today's episode, today's Wednesday, and every week, we are pulling out learning from, or practical learning, something that customers can bring me in to do a learning session for, which is basically making breakthroughs in learning or practical breakthroughs in learning on a specific salient point. Something that sparked an epiphany when they read my book, Winning at Entrepreneurship, Common Sense Strategies for Business Owners. So strategy 5 is implement the client modular approach. Implement the client modular approach. Well, let's think about that for a little bit here. So the client, right? It may be you and your support system. It may be you and your support system and your network. It may be you and some partners. It may be you and some investors. It may be you and you have other colleagues, other people. You may have employees. You may not, right? So obviously, it's essential that you all create or package something together for a specific client or a client. So who is your client, right? So is it all people? Nah, that won't work. I don't know anyone who can service all people. Or is your client, for example, for me, my clients are performers and achievers. Those are who I help and support when they are customers or clients. And then if they're not customers, then I still help them because they're performers and achievers. And how do I help them? By podcasts like this, in other ways, YouTube channel, there's some other ways that I do so also. So I've narrowed it down, right? And so think of just other companies, businesses, organizations, sports teams. It doesn't really matter. Places where you go and maybe you're a member of a tennis club, basketball facility, soccer organization. So as you'll see, when you look at that, and this is for your benefit, that probably when you look around, a lot of the people there have some kind of similarity to you. Now, each person is different and unique, and there's an infinite number of reasons and an infinite number of drivers or value or motivation, inspiration for why they're there. And that is really is not as simple as saying, and this is what I do when people come to me for private, personal, professional, confidential. It's not as simple as saying, well, he needs to do this or she needs to do that, or this is what he needs to do. From the outside, it looks like that. And I'm not saying that it's not 100%. I mean, I'm not saying it's 100% wrong. However, there's a lot of factors that go into that. And that's exactly what my expertise, what my services, private, personal, professional, confidential, bring out. So it's not quite that easy. Now I simplify it and realize, okay, this is what is occurring. And that's the whole purpose of me being there to benefit. Okay. And so you can look at and see some examples Like if you're a coffee drinker, right? Well, if you love coffee, then most likely you've been to a Starbucks, right? Starbucks is coffee drinkers or coffee and breakfast and have other types of drinks, but almost everything there uh, has something to do with some type of coffee or tea. Some of them are frozen, some of them are other drinks. And then, of course, the food. And so, naturally, if you look at some other places you go, right? You go to a tennis club, what do you see? Well, it depends on exactly that. Who's their client? Who are they serving? Who are they helping and supporting? Who are they serving? And you'll see that they're not all, although they may be in the same industry or industry or category or have the same, I forget what it's called, the NACIS classification, that they're actually serving a specific customer. And then they put together something that's modular. And modular simply means that you're customizing a package for that customer, whether it's a base package with options or it's a different kind of package. And so, how is that put together for them? So, that's modular because not all the customers will need or want or like those particular services or programs. Now, you probably do have some structure that is readily implementable, and then it takes a little bit of customization or order change or maybe removing something out. However, you have the base, right? That's modular. Now, the other one is approach. Approach. This is essential. See my necklace there. The approach. How you approach someone obviously affects their response, the way they react to you, all of that. So obviously, if you approach someone, you don't approach them in a civil way. You don't have some kind of way to know that they think and see and know that you're there to talk to them about their situation and how you may be a fit, or are you a fit? Or if that's already been established, how can there be a beneficial working relationship deal? So that's the approach. So a lot of times, where do you meet some of your customers? Where did you meet them? Or how did they learn about you? Or where do you go to, let's say, their prospects? And what does that look like? And so how do you approach them? So that's very important, the approach. And you can look at this in lots of ways. You can look this in anything. You can know somebody for a really long time. And if you approach them in a way that's not civil, most likely they're going to look at you like something's wrong here. And not really sure what it is. Is everything okay? And since they know you pretty well and they have that ability to garner that. However, if this is someone that you've never met before and you approach them in that way, then they're not going to look to continue. It wouldn't make sense to them. So that's what approach means. So that's what I have for you today. So your bonus, your assignment, is think about the times when you have put together a modular, some kind of package, okay, with options, a base package. You have options. Think about maybe what's something that's customizable, that is able to benefit your customers. Then in your approach, think about how and what's the way that you'll approach them about this. And really, you're first wanting to approach them to help them with their situation, whatever that may be. And that's very important. And from there, you may be a fit. Are you a fit? If not, maybe you know someone who is. Or if not, then there could be some other opportunities, good opportunities that may know of someone who would be benefited by what you have. And so that's very important, is the approach. You can do that with anything, right? And you take this all the way to your family, extended family, friends, citizens, and others. Right? Somebody's just coming home. They've been out all day, just coming home. And they don't have time to wind down. And let's say you approach them in a way that's not acknowledging that they've been out They just got home. They probably need a little time for like, how's your day? Seems like you got home a little bit later today, right? Versus going straight at them with XYZ, da 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 da, this needs to be done, that needs to be done, da da da, right? The approach is very important. See, keep in mind, you are with people, and people have lives. They have all sorts of things going on. Obviously, they have their jobs. They have whatever they do when they're not at home or at work. And so it's important that you acknowledge some of these factors. And of course, they should be considerate of you too. If they come home and they were supposed to have, let's say, called you or done something else to approach you with, hey, he or she needs to know that I'll be home earlier, I'll be home later, whatever it may be, is the approach. Now, another example of approach is people already in the flow of their day, then all of a sudden someone calls with some kind of situation. And sure, emergencies happen. Yeah, that happens. And there are those situations where that becomes a priority. Always happens. However, if it's not something of that nature, well, they're not just able to do what it is that you want them to do because they have all these things scheduled and they haven't received the time and you haven't given them the time to even think about where they can put this or accommodate this in their schedule, in their calendar, right? It doesn't just happen like this. So that's important to know the approach. Or maybe the approach is this. Well, during this time of year, we do this. And this is when we talk to people, etc., about specific initiatives, endeavors, situation. During this time of year, we don't do any of that because we've already established what we're going to do, let's say in the first quarter. So in the second quarter and the third quarter, we're executing on that, we're working on that. And sure, there's sometimes when needed, they will bring in people for specific needs. And then in the last quarter, this is where we're flowing. And this is our approach. So knowing that, you'll know when to approach them, right? How to approach them. So you gather this information. However, you won't receive that kind of information or gather that information without having a good approach. It's not just one approach. There's lots of ways you can approach someone. However, a good approach that has civility, right? That shows that you are there to really help or learn about their situation. So that's what I have for you today. If you like my podcast, like it and comment in the comment section. For those of you who are interested in my private, personal, professional, confidential services and programs, visit my website, rajgavurla.com. Fill out the brief form, and we will contact you as soon as we can. Enjoy your day.